Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha News. I'm Frank Rausen Pereira. Here are the headlines. First half of budget session ends. Parliament to meet on March 2nd. Next budget session to conclude on April 3rd. Discussion on Union Budget 2020-21 continues in the Rajya Sabha. Replying to the debate, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says adequate allocation made for every plan and department. And economy will soon gain momentum. Finance Minister says nominal GDP increased from $2 trillion in 2014-15 to $2.9 trillion in 2019 under the Modi government. Questions UPA policies in reply to opposition's charges. Well, the Rajya Sabha was adjourned on Tuesday till March 2nd as the first part of the budget session ended. The House will now meet between March 2nd and April 3rd for the second half.
Thank you, Finance Minister. Thank you, honorable members. The House stands adjourned till 11 hours on Monday, 2nd March 2020.
Well, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman responded to the discussion on the Union Budget in both houses of Parliament. In her reply in the Rajya Sabha, Nirmala Sitharaman said that the economy is moving fast due to steps taken by the government. She also said that the country's GDP was $2 trillion in 2014-15, which has increased to $2.9 trillion in 2019-20, adding that the country's debt has also come down.
The nominal GDP of the country has increased from 2 trillion, sir, in 2014-15 to 2.7 trillion in 18-19, and it has reached 2.9 trillion by 2019-20. The macroeconomic stability is something which all of us will have to keep in mind. The averaging GDP growth has been at 7.4%, and inflation has been at 4.5%. And then, based on RBI estimates, the central government's liabilities have come down from 52.2% of GDP by the end of March 2014, that is, to 49.4% by the end of March 2019, clearly showing a healthy trend in terms of liability to the GDP.
Well, the Finance Minister said that the world's attitude towards India has also changed, and in this situation, FDI and FPI have increased.
The global sentiment, sir, is towards India in a very favorable mood, and that is seen by the investments which are coming from the foreign investors, which is continuing to show confidence in India. The net FDI flows is 24.44 billion, which was in April-November 2019-20, compared to 21.1 billion in April-November 2018-19. Second, the FPI flows, the net FPI flows in April-November to November 2019-20, sir, has been very positive at 12.6 billion, as against an outflow of 8.7 billion in April to November 18-19. The third is we've announced a national infrastructure pipeline, and in that we've already identified projects worth 103 lakh crores, for which 22,000 crores have already been invested.
She also talked about the rapid industrial development taking place in the country and said that foreign exchange reserves have increased. Sitharaman added that there has been an increase in the collection of GST.
The forex, foreign exchange reserves, that have been built up from 413 billion by the end of March 2019 to 466.69 billion as on 24th January 2020. Revenue collection is really improving and consistently improving. So month of January, sir, 1,10,000 crores, 1,10,828 crores has been collected. During April 19, January 20, the gross GST revenue collected has surpassed 1 lakh more than 6 times, and therefore pointing towards an increased economic activity.
Earlier, leaders from all parties participated in a discussion on the union budget in the Rajya Sabha. Let's take a listen in.
Tamil Nadu has been the cradle of civilization and is one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the annals of world history. I express our sincere thanks and gratitude to the Honorable Finance Minister for announcing Adichanallur as part of the upgrading 5 archaeological sites in the country. Our Chief Minister has requested the central government to add Keeladi archaeological site also. I would request the union government to sanction ₹50 crore to conduct large-scale archaeological excavations in the ancient sites of Poopugar, Keeladi, Kodumanal, Kodkai in Tamil Nadu.
The economy is not in the ICU. It has been taken to the ventilator already. For the ventilator, how can it come out? They have some panacea, some doctors, and their main panacea is that to privatize everything, to see that all the wealth of the nation is sold to the private profit mongers, and they have an option, one more option, that is the FDI. So these two medicines are not going to help this economy, which is already in the ventilator, sir.
ये स्वीकार करने को तैयार नहीं कि अर्थव्यवस्था को संभालने की आवश्यकता है। उल्टे हम कहते हैं कि हमारी इकोनॉमी की फाउंडेशन बड़ी स्ट्रांग है, बहुत स्ट्रांग है, फंडामेंटल बहुत स्ट्रांग है। कहा जा रहा है 2020-21 में जीडीपी ग्रोथ 10% रहेगी। ये क्या आधार है? इसका कोई आधार नहीं नजर आता।
मेरा मानना है यदि हमें अपने देश की तरक्की करनी है और देश की तरक्की गांव खेत खलिहान से होकर गुजरती है, यदि किसान खुशहाल होगा, गांव खुशहाल होगा तो शहर खुशहाल होगा, और जो शहर खुशहाल होगा तो पूरा देश खुशहाल होगा। आज किसान के पास उतने आय के साधन नहीं है कि वो अच्छा मकान बना सके, सही ढंग से रह सके। जब उसकी हालत सुधरेगी, वो आर्थिक रूप से मजबूत होगा, तो वो मकान बनाएगा, अच्छी शादी करेगा, व्यापारी के पास जाएगा सामान खरीदने के लिए, तो बाजार भी खुशहाल रहेंगे।
Budget 2020 is a budget that continues this determined effort by this government, an effort that commenced in 2014 when it inherited a broken, corrupted economy. Budget 2020 is the first one of this new decade and is also the first one to take on the Prime Minister's next objective of expanding the economy after focusing the last 5 years on cleaning and rebuilding the economy.
सर, 1966 से लेकर जब से हरियाणा बना, 1966 से लेकर 2014 तक 48 साल में हरियाणा का कुल कर्जा 70,000 करोड़ रुपया ही था। लेकिन सर, 3.5 साल में ही मार्च 18 तक 90,000 करोड़ रुपया बढ़ गया कर्जा, और 1 लाख से ज़्यादा, 1,61,000 से ज़्यादा, और अब तो 2 लाख के करीब पहुंचता जा रहा है। और सर, इसके साथ अगर हम जोड़ दें कि जीएसटी में जो नुकसान राज्यों का होगा, जैसा माननीय चिदम्बरम जी ने कहा कि एवरेज में 5,000 करोड़ रुपया हर राज्य का नुकसान होगा, तो हरियाणा जैसा छोटा राज्य है तो 3 से 4,000 करोड़ रुपया नुकसान हरियाणा का भी होगा, इसमें ये लाजमी है। तो कैसे छोटे छोटे राज्य हमारे जैसे कैसे उभर पाएंगे?
Is that the disinvestment target which is placed by the Honorable Finance Minister for next year is 210,000 crore, which is apparently on high side given the track record for last 2 years. There is a likelihood of an exceptionally sharp increase in direct tax revenues, and where would that come from? That would come from Vivad Se Vishwas scheme.
This I told you about the NRIs. NRIs play a pivotal role in the economy, especially in Kerala. Now, Kerala, the government is totally neglected.
The net FDI in the first 8 months of this year was $24.4 billion. What has been the money which came into the equity, foreign equity, which came into the portfolio investments? 26.1 billion crores. So, what is our foreign exchange reserves? $470 billion.
Well, that's it on this telecast. Good night.